Hello everyone. So I hope I am audible, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's audible.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So I hope everything is set and I'm visible, not visible. In fact, my screen is visible and I'm audible, right? Anyone just can confirm, so I can start.
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. So let me just quickly brief you because some of you might be joining the first time. So this is like a live course and that will be happening on the weekends at morning 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So, and regarding Palo Alto firewalls, it is very much recommended that you have basic understanding of networking. It means that CCNA equivalent knowledge you should have. If you are not certified, that is also okay. But at least you should have an idea that what are the subnetting, what are the routing protocols, OSPF, and all. So just basic understanding. If you are not expert in that, that is also okay. But yeah, basic understanding is very much required. Now, this time, what I am going to do, I will just take a firewall from scratch and I will try to configure that. So I have a lab setup for that. Let me show you. So I think most of you have gone through my previous video because if you are have not gone through the previous video, then it is like because I have covered up the basic things. Uh, what are there? Like what is the Palo Alto firewalls? What are the zones? And how the security policy works. Even then, if you have not gone through, that's not a problem because everything I'm going to cover, but step by step. So for the lab point of view, I have this EVNG setup on my install. So I have just installed my EVNG VMware workstation here. And after that one, once you have like started EVNG, next thing you have to do, you have to log on to the your web browser. So for my machine, the IP address is 192.168.29.45. So this is like specifically for everyone. If when you will set up a lab with EVNG, it will give you that what IP you want to choose. So accordingly, you can choose. User and password for me, it is admin, and by default for everybody, it is like EV, like here, like UCEVE. So that is the password, and this is by default. I have not changed it. So for everybody, username is admin and password is EV. So for this one, you can log on. Once you log on the like EVNG, you what you observe that there are different because this lab is open. So let me close it first. So this type of window will open. So these are the different labs what I have in my EVNG setup. You can create a lab from here, like you can add a folder. It will give a option to add folder, and inside that you can push these labs. And if you want to create a new lab, you can create directly from here. So I'm going to create a new lab. I'm giving the first class Palo Alto and just save it. So this is like a new EVNG, new window open. And now here you have to add the nodes that for which nodes you are going to set up the lab. So this is like not specific to Palo Alto. If you want to set up lab for the routers, then also you have to go up with that. So just start adding the nodes. I will add the Palo Alto first. So this is my Palo Alto. And after that, you can select the name as well. Let us suppose uh, you are using two firewalls. So in that case, you can give the name as 1 and 2 there so that you do not get confused. But I'm using as of now only one, so we'll go with that. RAM, it is using 4096. That is also fine. CPU, it will be using two. Four Ethernet ports, it will be using as of now. But if you want, you can customize them. You can add 8 or whatever you want. But I will recommend to go for 4, because if you add more number of Ethernet ports, it will consume more CPU and memory, and it might be that your system do not support, and yet you are not able to load that via Palo Alto. You could not be able to start it. So I will suggest it to 4. If you have the good system configuration, then you can increase these ports, and if you need it only, right? If you don't need it, let's suppose you are configuring simple lab, so then you need not to configure a big one. You just simple one that works. I just save it. So here is my Palo Alto. Another thing, what I'm going to do, I will add a Windows machine here. So this will be used as a GUI, and I will connect it to console. So that will come later on. Another I'm going to use as a VPC. VPCs are like a type of computer, but they don't have like GUI very good. They just we will play everything around on the CMD. So now the connectivity, how we connect it, just drag and drop, right? Once you browse mouse over there, you have this option plug, drop it. Now it's give the option that on which ports you want to connect it. So as this is my this Windows machine, I will be using for configuring the management port. So on the Windows, I will use E0, that is fine. But for the Palo Alto, I will choose for management, because I'm going to configure this Palo Alto using this machine. So this will be connected to the management. So I'm going putting it down here, and let me add one more VPC where I will be initiating the traffic. So that one side, left hand side, you can treat it as an internal network, and another end, you can treat it as an external network. So this, and for the bifurcation, you can add shapes. Let me add it here. Square is fine. Name, I don't want any. Solid is fine, and the background is also fine. Let's add it. So this is one of the shape, and here I'm going to treat this as a internal, or you can say trust. So I will get a label here. You can say that this is our internal network. If you want, you can change the color as well later on, or let me do it right now. So the shapes background color is white, so I will just change it to the green or any light color, because green shows very good, right? That this is our internal network. And the same thing you can duplicate, but this time I will change the color as a something type to red, so that we just know that this is like external network and we do not trust it. Or it, something like that. I like the light color, so I just choose them basically. And you can treat this as an untrust or external. So it just depends on your choice, whatever you want to do. I have just given these just to understand you, because you do not get confused. What are these, right? So that's it. So now my lab is set up. This going to be our internal network. We can okay. Let me choose another color. So this is going to be like internal network. You can say the corporate, like your office, right? You have having the multiple computers. The normal scenarios is there that you are having a one router, or inside that you are having multiple switches, and from switches you are having the multiple computers connected. So that is the typical environment. Or if you are like big office, you can have multiple routers later on as well, stage wise, that from this web facing router you have multiple routers, then you have switches. In some of the offices we are having like uh, step down, like floor wise, on every floor we are having two switches. So that is like typical environment, so that just don't get too complicated with that. Just understand the simple thing, because if you understand the simple thing, it is really correlate with the difficult things and you can go ahead. But if you go very complex in the learning, it's going to be tough. And this is going to be external. So for external, it can be like web or internet. Let us suppose this can be your Google server. But just to allow the traffic, I have taken one PC to just show that how the communication will be happening from this machine to this machine. Now it is coming that what will be the IP addresses, right? So for this VPC, whatever is here, I will choose the IP address as 10.1.1.10, and the subnet I'm using /24. So now you understand that why I was saying that CCNA knowledge is required. If you don't know the subnetting, it is really difficult for you to understand that why I'm what is this IP address, and why I'm using 10.1.1.1 here. Like let us suppose 10 I have given taken on the machine, and on this firewall interface Ethernet 1/1, I will be configuring 10.1.1.1. So why I'm doing this? Because directly connected interfaces, or even if you are having switches, they should be all in the same network. All right. So if you see that 10.1.1.10 and 10.1.1.1/24 are in the same network. So they will be easily communicating with each other. Meanwhile, I will be just doing this part, but what because the starting of the Palo Alto firewall takes time, so I will just start this firewall. It will be taking time to do that. Meanwhile, I will just do the labeling. So once you start it, that's how the console it shows. Now our firewall is booting up. It is like nothing configured on this firewall. So once it comes up, then we will be configuring the management interface first, and then we will able to access GUI. Directly it's like not possible to configure. So first we will configure the management interface, then it will be accessible via this VPC. No, not sorry, VPC. Management is connected to this Windows. So there we will be configuring. So this is also I'm starting. This is our Windows machine. It will be like normal your Windows 7 machine. So if I open it, you will see that how it is booting up. So this is an starting Windows. So simple. This is like Windows 7 image that I have installed inside my EVNG. So my firewall is also booting up. It so this both of them takes time. So meanwhile, I can do the labeling part. And for accessing this firewall using this machine, what I'm going to do, I will use the IP address 192 series 192.168.1.1/24. I'm going to use on the Windows machine. Meanwhile, guys, if you have any question, feel free to speak. There's no restrictions in speaking. So that's why I keep the guys count quite low. Any questions till now?
No, Anuj.
No. Okay, that's good. So this is like management interface at the firewall. So that I will be configuring this. And for the external one, I will be taking 172 subnet. Or let's take an public one, because here there's nothing public. So let's take public internet. Let us suppose 100, not 100 becomes very difficult to type. Let me take 50.50.50.1/24. Okay, sorry, I was got carried away. So that's what I'm going to configure on the machine here, VPC, and the at the firewall, I'm going to configure as a 10. So if you observe that no, sorry, I have to get it reversed. So what I usually configure that dot one, I give it to the firewall. So I just make them standard so that it will be easy to remember. And this one should be 10. So machines which are connected directly, I just usually configure at 10. So this is like a configuring style. So I just do like that. If you have some other styles, you can go ahead with that. Just on advice. So just bear with me for 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So I think let me check my firewall. Okay, so firewall is ready. Windows machine is also ready. So I will restart it later. And labeling is also done. Almost thing everything is ready. So the first thing, let us configure this interface of this Palo Alto firewall. So let me log in it first. So by default, the username and password for this firewall is admin and admin. So default login is admin, and the password also will be the admin. The first time when you are logging, the password will be the admin, default one. These are like factory setting. And whenever you are just restarting your firewall, it is coming up. So it just actually takes some time to come up the data plane. So control plane is up, like we are able to ping it, but still, if you see that it is saying as an login incorrect. So it some takes time to take that password, like functionality is working. So if you are working on your lab setup and you just observe that it is not taking your default password, just don't worry. You just have to wait. That's what you have to do. So if you see that automatically, it will just reset it and give you the login prompt once again at the top. It will clear all this thing. Meanwhile, let me check my Windows machine. So here the IP address is 10.1.1.10, which is configured at my machine. And you can check the IP from here on the command prompt. And this is like works similar to our Windows 7 machine or our computer. The command is all ipconfig. So this is giving like 10.1.1 IP to this computer. All right. And the default gateway is 10.1.1. So the similar what I have given it to it. Oh no. This is for the Windows. I have to change it. So for the VPC, I have given 10.1.10 and 10.1.1. But for the management, it is 192.168.1.10. So there are two options. Either we can move this IP address to there and this one to here, but rather than I will just show you how to change these things, right? So you can also be aware that how to change the IP addresses with the machine. I think most of you guys, because you have come from CCNA, so this you might be aware that how to do these things, but still, if you don't know, you can check it here. So you can go to our adapter. So local area network, properties, and we are going to change IPv4 address. So IPv4 properties and use these following IP addresses. So in your like broadband, whenever you're connected in your home, your internet, these settings are opt-in IP address automatically. Usually use it, but for the labs, it is recommended to use this. And my management machine IP was 192.168.1.10. That's right. And at the firewall, it was 192.168.1.1. So guys, I think you are aware that what is this default gateway and why we configure this default gateway. Anyone aware just can tell me that why we configure the default gateway? If you don't speak, then I have to explain it. But if you know, I will be happy that if any of you just tell us that why do we configure the default gateway?
Yeah, default gateway means the exit interface. So
Correct. So sometimes, like if you are giving an interview of CCNA level, then definitely sometimes interviewer also asks that what is the default gateway and why we configure it. So like if you are in this machine, that for this machine, if any of the packet want to go outside of this network, then for this machine, because this machine is dumb, right, it is, does not know anything that where should I send the packet. So what we configure the default gateway that whenever you don't find anything, just please send it to 192.168.1.1. And 192.168.1.1 I have given to the firewall, means that whatever the communication it will be initiating, that it will send it to the 192.168.1.1. Now the next question is that if we do not configure this default gateway on this machine, let me clear this. If we do not configure that default gateway on this machine, then what is going to happen? Is it going to work or is it not going to work in this scenario? For my scenario, not for the other scenarios, but for my scenario, if I do not configure the default gateway, will it going to work or it will not work?
it will not work.
It will not. Sure. Anybody else want to try?
Same subnet, right?
Yeah, it's same subnet.
Then it will work, right?
Yeah, it will work because they are in the same subnet. So if they are in same subnet, then if you configure the default gateway, then it's fine. But if you do not configure, then also it works because in the same subnet they can communicate to each other. But it is very difficult if you have something in between and then the packet has to go somewhere else. Let us suppose from to here. If you send any packet to this one and you have not given the default gateway, this will not be able to know that where I have to send because it does not have any information about this network 50.50. So it is like confused. It like where I have to send. So what happens that by default it will send it to this one, and now it's responsibility of this that it should be aware the route of this one and it will send to this. But this is not like security or not a firewall. It is just simple networking and routing I was telling you. But yeah, you should be aware of that because if you don't know, then it will be difficult for you to set up the labs and troubleshooting. So that's it. I think we should be ready with this now. Let me check IP. Yeah, here we go. Now let me ping our firewall 192.168.1.1. So it is saying as destination host unreachable. So why it is saying okay, because we have not configured on the firewall. So let me configure it. So now once you given the password admin and admin, now it is asking me to change my password. So I'm giving admin 123. Oh, sorry, I have given the confirm password not match. So it's like changing your password. So now I have changed my password to admin at the 123. All right. Now it is your job to configure the interface. So I'm going to configure it, interfaces. So edit. Now another thing is like whenever you're giving any of the command, you can just press question mark. It will give you all the commands, whatever is available, or you can also press the tab key. Both the options working here. So I think this is similar to other firewalls as well, right? So edit system. Let me get it the exact one rather than wasting your time. I think my screen is visible, right? There's nothing problem with that.
It's visible. Yeah.
Okay. So there's two options. Like the first one, you can go like this: set network interface Ethernet, and then you can give that whatever the interfaces you are having. So uh, you have checked that we are having the four interfaces, right? So in the four interfaces, the nomenclature is like one dot one slash sorry 1/1, 1/2, 1/3. So now the name we can give it like that, right? Let me go to this and let me show you the configuration that what is there. Show network interface Ethernet. Let us suppose 1/1 we want to check. So you see that there's no configuration, right? And we are also in the edit mode. So that's why it is showing as an edit. And now if you want to check another interface, the similar thing we can do it here. You can do up arrow. So I think this is similar to other as well. That any like in the command prompt or somewhere you have just a minute. Yes, let me back in 1 minute. Okay? I think someone is ringing my door. I will be back. Yeah, sorry. So now I can also say for 1/2. So not like that. You have to go like this. So there's no configuration on these. So that's why it is showing like that, right? But our job was to go for the management interface, right? Not for this Ethernet 1/1 or something. So what I'm going to do, I will go to set device config system and just put the tab. It will give you IP address. And here I can give the IP address 192.168.1.1. And the next thing is like keyword, we give it as net mask. This is like syntax of configuring the interfaces. And then we can give it like 255.255.255.0. If you want to give the default gateway, you can give the default gateway as well by like typing D and just putting the tab. If you don't want to configure as of now, we can configure it later on as well. So I'm not configuring as of now, just hitting enter. After that one, what you have to do, just commit it, because whatever the changes you have made, something like in the Cisco, we give it the command write. So same things like here we do as a commit. So it's like committing the configuration, whatever we have made it up. And I think we have to make the interface static as well. I have missed it, so we may not to ping it. Let's see if it does or not. So if I go to ping 192.168.1.1, it is still showing as a destination host not reachable because I have not made them an static. Because whatever the interfaces are there, we have to, because by default they are in the dynamic mode, but we have to configure them to the static one. And I have not done that. So let me move it to the first to this tab. And the command for that set device config system type as an static. And now you can give the same command what we did earlier and just commit it. So some of the mistakes you see that I'm doing, and I'm sure that you will also do these mistakes because whenever I'm sure that whenever you set up your lab, you will not be able to run it in the first go. Definitely, you are going to stuck with that. And here you go. Now we are able to reach our firewall. Now we are able to ping it. So if I am able to ping it, I will open it on the GUI here. I will close this. And now my job is to give HTTPS hyphen 192.168.1.1. Hit enter. So my connection is not private, not a problem. I will proceed with unsafe. My screen is visible clearly, or let me change the resolution. I think it will be. I don't feel good with this. So if like in your lab setup, if you face this square window, you can change your screen resolution. It will help you to feel good. You can choose any of them like 768, 720, apply, and okay. So it just like feels good. Rectangular windows looks good, so we just prefer that. So it changes. Okay. I hope my firewall is open now. Yes. So now our GUI is open. Now we are going to log in it in admin and the but you see that we have changed the password for the CLI, but for this GUI again the password will be the admin and admin, and it will ask you to change the password once again. Okay, that's set. So I think this is not in the this version 9 and it is showing on version 10. So I was recently using version 10 that is asking to change the password for the GUI. Let me close this window. And now, if you see that at the top, we are having the different tabs, and our focus is to configure the network interfaces. So I will go to the network, and on this network, we are having the different interfaces: Ethernet 1/1, 1/2, 1/3, and up to 1/8. But our firewall is having only four interfaces because we have, whenever we install the image, we have taken only four. So only four you can, sorry, only three you can use. Not in fact the four, because one of them has gone to the management. So three for the traffic and one for management. Total four interfaces are available on this virtual machine image. Now you want to configure them, but before that, I want to show you the management one, what we have configured just now. Go to the device setup, and then you can go to the interfaces under the device and interfaces. This is what I'm showing you. That is for the management, what I have configured via CLI. So this is the management interface, and the IP address I have given it 192.168.1.1. And if you see that what are the services they have, by default they're allowed ping, HTTPS, and SSH. So you can ping this IP, you can open it in a web browser, that is HTTPS, and SSH. You want to, if you want to try via SSH via putty or something, then you can use it. Now let's configure the other interfaces, our Ethernet 1/1, 1/2. So there are two ways to configure it. Either you do it via GUI from here, network interfaces. So I'm first interface, I'm going to use it from GUI, and then another one I will configure via CLI so that you can give confidence or both of them or the how to do it. Comment, normally we give it like whenever you're configuring on the production environment, you give it a change number. So that's what we do. And there are different interfaces type, so that I'm going to cover in the next upcoming classes, that what are these interfaces and when we use them in detail. But right now just focus on the layer 3. We are going to configure them as a layer 3, and by default router, just I will explain all these things, what are these default routers and security zones. I have explained you in the previous session. If you have not gone through it, like these are the different zones to allow the communication, but I will cover up it in more details in the upcoming sessions as well. So there are two options to create zone. One is directly from here. You can create it, like just click new. It will give you a pop-up to create a zone. So I will create a trust zone here. An interface, nothing. You can give it here as well interface if you don't want to give, because we are already configuring interfaces. It will take automatically there. Or if you want to add it from here, you see that there's nothing there because we have not configured the interfaces, and we are on the process of doing that one. So just created zone and click OK. And now our trust zone is assigned to this interface Ethernet 1/1. Hit OK now. So this is it, 1/1 configured on the trust zone, but we have not committed it. So I'm going to commit it. Okay, I have just not given the IP address. Let me give that as well. The most important part I missed. IPv4 static and add. For this interface Ethernet 1/1, what I'm going to give this one 10.1.1.1. 10.1.1.1. Now, if you give /24, it will take subnet as a /24. If you do not give any of them, then like let us suppose you leave like this and you click it like this, right? Now what it will do, it will take automatically the /32 subnet. Now it will create a problem that one your traffic will not communicate. So just mention the subnet as well when you're configuring that what subnet you're configuring. So we are doing the /24 and hit OK. At the same time, you can also choose like DHCP if you want. If you see that there is an option for the DHCP, right? So those options we will cover up later on, because if we cover everything in one session, then it will like in our session. And just commit it now. And make sure to do commit changes made by you only. Do not mess up the configuration with other users, because in your office, like there can be 4 or 5 members in your team and they all configuring your firewalls, and they have just doing something else, and you post their configuration, then it can be a massive outage on our network. So just avoid doing that. Here we go. And now link state is showing as green. It means that 10.1.1, or in fact that the Ethernet 1/1 link interface is up, this one. Now we are going to configure this Ethernet 1/2, but we will configure that via CLI. So I will go CLI of this. It is open. Set network interface or use the same command. Just a minute, let me get the exact one. Network, interface, Ethernet, and which one we are going to configure now? We are going to configure 1 slash, forgot it, 1/2. Interface, Ethernet 1/2, right? So, and as a layer 3 first, and then you can keep the IP. You see that I am putting the just tab or the question mark. So now it is giving me option that what you are going to configure. So I'm giving the IP address as 50.50.1 dot, and one thing is still missing, that is zone. So that will configure via GUI 50.1 and /24. I can give it here. Server error 1/2 is not a valid reference. Okay. Ethernet interface. Okay, I have to give like this. Ethernet 1/2 and then layer 3 and IP 50.50.50.1. So these are the things people usually don't configure via CLI. They just prefer doing it via GUI because that is more convenient. But just I just want to show you that how does that really work. And once you do it, you just commit it. So whatever the changes we will make it here, after the commit, we will be able to see on the GUI. Any questions on this, guys? Yeah, I see something. Yeah, please, Ash, go ahead.
Yeah, I just chatted. Normally we use set CLI config output format set. So why do we use that command before configure mode? Any idea?
Set CLI config output format set. Okay.
Set.
If you want to this CLI config output, I think this is for to get the output, but let me exactly get it. I don't want to give you the fake one because I have not used. So you are using it on the like your environment.
Yeah, we use in that environment whenever we before entering into configure mode,
Mm,
we use that command set CLI config output format set and then
mm.
configure mode every time. So just want to know why we use that command set CLI config output format set before that. So just wanted to.
This
Yeah,
is usually I observe this is something like to get the configuration and view the configuration. But if you see that I have not used this command, and we just
okay.
like if you remember on the Cisco router that we gave one command at the top and then it we keep on going, so it will just shows the output in the required format or in the systematic way. The command will
Okay, okay, understand.
that we don't have to press the space or tab. It just gives everything on the same window. I just forgot the command that was. So it
Like terminal length
terminal,
zero,
right,
like
right,
that.
exactly, right, right. Yeah. So this is like
Okay,
something to view your configuration so that you can just view your configuration in the right format. So that's why the command is something like that,
okay,
config
thank you.
output format.
You're telling the correct one only, sir. So the term length is zero for Cisco we are doing, right? If you want to
Mhm,
see that output in the proper way, show
mhm,
IP INT brief. If you
mhm.
are not giving term length is zero, it won't give proper output. Okay. The same
Correct.
thing in the Palo Alto also.
Mhm.
I think yes, also referring the same thing. You're right,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Okay. That's it. Thank you. So now we can see our firewall here, that whatever the interfaces we have configured. So let me refresh it here, and it be visible here. Our Ethernet 1/2 is configured as layer 3. IP address is 50.50.1, and the virtual router is none, and the security zone is also none. So we can configure that via CLI, but rather than saving it, because in CLI it is like difficult to memorize your command or put in the tab. It is very handy in your GUI. But for this one, I'm going to create a new zone. That's an untrust, and then hit enter. Okay, I'll just commit it from here. So before committing, what I will just do, uh, I will create a policy first. In fact, let me commit it here. Do not create the policy, because I want to show you that without policy, the communication is not happening. So this is like our interface is set here. This 10.1.1 is set, 50.50.1 is set, but we do not configure and switch on our this VPC and this VPC. I think I should have given the name VPC1 and VPC2. So let me give it now, edit it. So this is a VPC1, and let's take it as a VPC2, or let us suppose given them as an internal or external. So that will make better sense. At least it will give you a real feel, right? Internal, and that one you can take it as an external. So whenever you're configuring the things in the lab, you know it, what is going to happen. You are very happy. But whenever you work in the real environment, you don't know that where will you stuck. So I think most of you, if you have worked in the environment, you know it, that you don't know that which change is going to be drastic. Because I was working last night on a upgrade of a firewall, this Palo Alto from like 10 to 10 to 4, and now it has something wrong in the configuration, and it is not allowed to push configuration from Panorama to the firewalls. We are still on call with the Palo Alto tech. Like, it started in the last night evening 6, and my teammates are still on the call with tech engineers, but it's not in our control. Like, we do not able to set it. And from Palo Alto tech also, like, struggling from around, I think, 12 hours, and they're unable to find out. And so the thing is, like, on the reproduction environment, you cannot erase all the configuration and do it once again. And that's the good part in the labs, that if you see something that's not working, you just erase all the configuration and do it once again. But in the real environment, you can't erase anything, and you can't interrupt the services what is running. So anyways, we have to learn all those things as well in the these classes, that how to protocols. I have gone to VPC, and here I'm going to give the IP address as I will start with IP 10.1.1.10. 10.1. So guys, if you are aware of the syntax of VPC, or if you have worked previously on the EVNG, you know it, the how VPC works. And if you don't know, then just write this command somewhere. I think just guys keep noting this down, whatever I'm teaching, the commands, because after 5 days or 10 days or 1 month, you will not remember it. And like, sometimes you are giving the interviews and you just struggling that what was the command or how to do it. So just making the notes, that is the good practice. So here the command is in the VPCs, the /24, and space, we give it the default gateway. So 10.1.1.1. So that's how the syntax is. So this is my IP. This is the IP address of the VPC, and this is the default gateway. So it is checking the duplicate IP address, and it will configure it. And you can give this command show IP to show it that what is the configuration. So the IP address of this machine is this 10.1.1.10/24, and the gateway is 10.1.1. Now if I to ping it 10.1.1, Will I able to ping it? Anyone? Guess? Blind guess? So this 10.1.1 on the firewall directly connected. Are you able to ping it or not? Here we configured this interface. We were able to ping it, right? Are you able to ping this one or not?
Yeah, we can.
We can. Let's see. It is saying request timed out. Okay, no worries. We'll see why it is that. Meanwhile, let's configure your external one. So same, if you want to like to check how to configure it, just press question mark. I think it will tell that how to configure it. So you see that it is giving you a syntax that how to configure the IP address. So that's how you can configure it if you want. But if you know it, just simply give it IP 10 dot, no, this is 50.50.50.10/24 and 50.50.50.1. And just to demonstrate, ping 50.50.50.1 as well. So here also it is saying as an timed out. So just to tell you that by default, the firewall does not take any of the connections. It does not, like if you have not specifically allowed any of the user, he cannot ping your interface, right? This is like security feature. Any external, because this it can be internal or external. Let us suppose this is interface which is open to everybody, right? Anyone can ping to our interface. So until and unless we have not specifically allowed this user to ping it, it will not allow communication from here. So for that, let's set up a policy. I'm not going to set a policy to uh, allow that ping. What I will set it, I will set a policy to ping from 10.1.10 to 50.50.10. So as of now, let's just check what is happening. I think clear command does not work. No. Ping 50.50.50.1. It is also getting timed out. So just let me quickly brief you that what will be happening inside our network. So I'm not sure that you guys are aware of not, but let me just tell you before asking questions, because I have not told you, just asking question is not a good idea. So let us suppose this is your internal network. It is connecting to your 5G device. Like it does allow the communication by deny or allow. It can block or it can allow the communication. But at the same time, it also works as a that one, right? We see that there's a option was there to virtual router. We selected as a default one when we are configuring the interfaces. So it is like a device which is having the security device to allow the communication and block it. At the same time, it is routing. So if you want to allow the communication from this peer to this peer, what you are going to do, first we will set up a security policy here on this firewall. Like the very first thing is security policy to allow the communication. So firewall will check whether the communication is like this packet is allowed to go to this destination or it is not allowed. Once it qualifies, it checks everything. Firewalls having less policies as well, but yeah, there will be huge list, and you are not able to understand that what exactly ongoing. But the thing is, we have only two things to allow via layer 3: security policy and routes. As of now, we'll talk about NAT and all later on when their turn comes. So I will go to this GUI of the firewall. I think it was here. It's fine. So default, we are having interzone default and intrazone default. They have the communication as usual, but I will create a new policy. add, and I will set a policy allow communication. You can give any name based on your like uh, and if you are working for any application, if you are setting up a rule for, let us suppose, for the Google, then you can allow Google, or you are setting up any rule for the SQL server, you can give the SQL server or SQL DMZ communication. So based on that application, you name, you give it description, you give it the change number, usually in the real environment. And now next thing is our source. So in the source, I'm going to give it as a trust here, and source address. In the previous class, I did not give the source address, but this time I want to give it. So I will allow the communication from 192, not 192, I think it was 10.1, right? So 10.1.1.0 slash 24 network. All right, this will be the source address. User, I'm giving it any, all the users, and destination, it want to go to the untrust zone. You can select it from the drop down. And destination, as of now, I'm giving an any, no restriction on the destination, because this is like similar to internet rule, right? Because internet, they are like use servers, websites. So we do not restrict the destination. We cannot. So we just allow any destination, but only these users will be allowed to communicate. So it can be in your company that there can be like multiple subnets, right? You don't want to allow all the users to go to the internet or to reach that server. You just allow this subnet 10.1.1.0 to reach that one. Destination application, and allow all application, there's no restrictions. But if you are like using any SQL or Google based, let me show you at least. Let us suppose you allow SQL, right? So you can select from the top down, okay, you want to allow my MS SQL DB, so you can select this application. So only MS SQL application will be allowed to reach that one, other services will not work. So it just depends. Let us suppose you are using web methods, so only web method services will be allowed. So there are these applications, like let us suppose you access network drive, right? You in your uh, environment, you might be accessing shared drive. For the shared drive, you map it on your machine. So for that one, we are having the SMB ports. SMB. So you can allow this MSDS SMB. Now it by default, whatever the ports it will be taking, it will take by default, but you have to select that applications. All right, so that's what we do it in the real environment. But as of now, I just allow any to show you exactly what is happening here. And the service URL category, let it keep an application default, and action is allow as of now. Log add session start as well. Log forwarding, I don't want forward any of the logs either to the panorama or an external server. But if you want to configure it, you just configure it. Let us suppose you want to go for Splunk or ESAS or any Kibana, any of the external server, or if you have taken from Cisco or anything like AlgoSec, if you have taken. So whoever you want to configure, you can just send them these logs. Hit OK and just commit it. Now do not commit it. Let's configure the static route as well parallelly before committing. Routes inside the virtual routers, default, then static routes. So name I'm giving to the external. So for any external destination, want to go for 50.50.50.0. So now I think you feel it that why CCNA knowledge is required, right? Because if you don't know that, it's really difficult for you to configure the static route. And next hop IP address will be 50.50.50.10. So if any of the packet coming for destination this network 50.50.0, and I will give as a slash 24 as well here, right? So if anything coming to this network means this one 50.50.0 network, please send it to this 50.50.10. All right, nothing else, no need to change anything else. And one more we will add for the reverse, because once the ping reaches to the destination, we should configure for the incoming as well, like reverse traffic. So destination 10.1.1.0/24. IP address, please give it to 10.1.1.10. Hit OK. OK. And now we just commit it. Meanwhile, any questions? Meanwhile, it commits. Any question in this part, whatever we have just done? You're getting right? All cleared, or you're getting something? Or it's very difficult to understand?
I have one more query. Then we can configure external internal network now. So that interface we can't map it that
Hmm.
routing part.
Normally, me just tell you that what is happening in the scenarios. Let us suppose it is a real environment. What will be happening? There will be a web-facing router here, right? And that
Yes.
router will be advertising BGP, or it can be like here also, like it can be BGP.
Mm.
Sometimes the BGP is terminating here as well on the firewall. But let us
Yeah.
suppose it's not terminating on the firewall; it is terminating this like this, and there is some interface here, right? So what are
Yeah.
you going to do? You will just configure a static route, whatever the IP address of this one. Let us suppose this can be, because please go into this direction. If any of the like DMZ, any traffic going to our DMZ network, so what we'll do, we will just give the IP address here. It is like routing. If we are having 10.16.10.1, any of the server is having this IP address, okay? And now the packet is initiated from here. Now we will configure the routes on this firewall here, that if destination is 10.16.10.1, then please forward it to this interface. We will destination like next hop IP will be and IP address of this one. It can be like 1.1.1 something. So the destination, the next hop IP will be this one, and the destination or network which can be this one. So for this network or this IP address, next hop will be this. Now the packet will reach to here. Here it is can be like aware of this, that 10.16 or 10.1 is connected, so it will automatically forward this packet. So that's what it is happening, because we are not having only one computer or connected to that to the firewall, so it can be like multiples routers and all.
We can mention only a zone only, external, internal or external. That zone only we can mention, right?
On the firewall policy,
Yeah.
yeah, that is possible. Like let us suppose this is your internal and this is external. So if you want to allow the communication from internal to external, all the communication will be allowed. It
Okay.
can be like you are having one more network, 10.1.2.0/24. And that is also if that is in the trust zone, let us suppose, right? And you allowed the communication from trust to untrust, this network will also be allowed to go to here. So we will set up a rule for trust to untrust. Just let me check it out. It sometimes happens that whenever it's quite long of not doing anything, if I can code it. Is there right?
Yes. Right.
Okay, all right. So I think I was saying about this. Yeah. So I was talking about that well, if you allow trust to untrust, so everything will be allowed. But we want to restrict that only this is allowed, and remaining, let's suppose that can be like n number of networks. I don't want to allow them. Or if I want to allow these two, I can explicitly mention it here, 10.2 something, and then it will be allowed. I think you see it right on that window, or I will show it here. Whenever we are configuring the, oh, this is router. I will have to go to policies. So if we are in this tab, allow communication, and the source, it is like trust, right? If you mention trust, so all the user networks or all the hosts or which are in the trust zone, they will be able to send the traffic. But if you set up this communication 10.1.0, even they are like 10.1.2.0 network, 10.5.0 network, or 100 dot something network, that is also on the same zone, but they will not be able to allow to go to that external. Only this one will be allowed. So this is why we configure the source address. Am
Okay,
I
okay,
clear?
got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine.
clear, clear.
Great. So I think I have committed it now. I will be able to ping now, most probably. Let me check it out. It is still timed out. No worries. Let's check from the reverse one. This is from internal and this is from external. Okay. I'm pinging from both of them, same one. But why I'm pinging 50.50.1? I should ping. I'm at external and I should ping internal. That was 10.1.1.10. So this is also not allowed. 10.1.1.10 from external to internal. That should be fine. Let me check from here. Oh, this is working. So from one side it is working, from other side it is not working. But why it is that? It should not be. Are we giving some wrong IP address? 10.1.1.10. Let's check the firewall. What is happening? So for the traffics, we can go to the monitor. So usually we check it on the traffic tab, but as we don't have the permission because of licenses, so alternatively we use the session browser to check it. So let me initiate the ping once again, and we will check it here on the firewall that what is happening. So the ping is here from 10.1.1.10 to 50.50.10, and it is using the rule allow communication. That is fine. That's what the rule we configured in the policies. Ingress is 1/1 coming from 1/1 to 1/2. That is fine. Now let us initiate from this and just check it. This is external 10.1.1.10. I think we have configured the IP correctly here. Default is 50.50.1. That is fine. Let's check on the firewall now. So this is good, right? If it is happening, you are stuck with that. We are troubleshooting. You're learning that what is happening. So you see that there's nothing coming here, right? So it means that something is wrong with the configuration here. 50. Let me check the interface. Virtual route is default.
Is it 10.10.1 or 10.1.1 you configured?
I think I configured 10.1.1.10. I configured wrong. This is like 1/2 50.50.1, and here this is 10.1.1. And if I go to the internal one, I will check the IP here. This is 10.1.1.10. So we have configured 10.1.1.10. So that should
Okay.
be fine, I think. Or something wrong in the routes, maybe. So one way is working and another way is not working. Oh, yeah, plus. Why it is not working? Because we do not allow it, right? Whatever the policy, we set it, right? You see, we set the source should be the trust to untrust, right? We have not set any rule from untrust to trust. Did we set it up? No, right? So
No.
that's why,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
So that's why it is going. So let's set reverse route as well. So one, there's two ways, like you can set up another rule. Other way is like you can go to the source. Here you can select,
There is,
go ahead.
there is no bidirectional option is available or no?
Yeah, here
Trust
you
to
can,
untrust.
there's like nothing like you can check it and bidirectional, but on the source zone, you can select both trust and untrust and the same policy. And then the
Okay.
destination as well, you can select trust to and untrust. So it is like bidirectional now. So it would like trust to untrust, it will be also going, and trust to untrust also it will be going. But if you see that here, that from the untrust, the source address should be this 10.1.0, and that is not there. So we have to give the IP address as well here in the user. Otherwise, it will say, okay, from the untrust, we don't have this source address 10.1.0, so it will not allow. So I have to add 50 network as well. 50.50.50.0/24. So it will take a source address, this, and it will allow. And now let's commit it. Let's check it out now. Yeah, here we go. So that's what was the job of firewall, to allow and deny the traffic, and that's what it was doing it very well. So that's what was about this session. So I think till now it was like uh, quite okay. And if you want to check it out that what we are going to cover, you can go to my website here. Any questions till now? First of all, let me ask that before the going ahead. Any questions, whatever that we learned till now? Because we are running
Uh,
out of time as well.
Anuj, again, one more question. There we
Mhm.
during the configuration, management interface configuration before
Mhm.
set device config system IP address before you can give type static we can give now during the management interface.
Yes, yes. Let me give
Types,
you the
yeah,
command.
but
Mhm.
yeah, but that is other interface, normal physical interface, other interface. No,
Mhm.
that time only we can configure set in network interface number. No,
Exactly,
so
exactly. Yeah.
that
For the traffic
yeah, that is
interfaces, that is fine. There's
uh,
no problem. But for the
okay,
management interface, that is usually configured as a dynamic interfaces. Like
okay,
DHCP is enabled on that one, so that physically, let us suppose you connect your computer. Let us suppose you have bought a firewall and you went to the data center. You connected your laptop to the management port of your firewall. So automatically, it will assign an IP address to your machine if you have enabled the DHCP. So that's what we changed it to the static one.
in protection it is not required or protection environmental.
This is like we do it whenever, let us suppose you have bought the new firewall, like from
Okay.
scratch. Then you do it once.
Okay. Okay.
But one, because this is a one-time job. Whenever this is in the production, nobody does it. So
Yeah.
project guys might be
Yeah.
doing, but in the operations, nobody will do that. Never. Because
Okay. Okay.
I think operations guys never get chance to visit the data center. They just work remotely only.
Okay.
In the command, I think it was something like that. Let me post it. Or you can search in like the Palo Alto articles. You will get that command. Let me post it in this one. I lost tab. Yeah, here it is. So this is a device set device system type static. And later on, we can give that command, set device config,
Okay.
something like that one. Rather than prefer this article, that will help you out. Let me give you that article.
Sure. Sure.
That is the right way, because you will get more. Because whatever I'm teaching you, that is not like end of everything, right? I cannot teach you everything. So Hello Alto articles are the best, and just always refer them whenever you are stuck with any of the issues.
Okay.
Any other question, guys?
Okay.
Okay, so that's the things I'm going to cover. You can more it here, explore it here on this website. And this will be the weekend classes. So I was starting on 30th July. So last session I was having on 30th July, and it will be around 4998 the amount, and you can enroll it, giving your details here. And it will, by default, it will go for the UPI like enrollment. And but if you want to use any other payment method, you can reach me on WhatsApp on this number. I'll be happy to help you. Or at the top, I think as well here, it assistance. Use this number. Send it me on WhatsApp. I will help you to for any other payment modes. And just try to whoever has done it, that's fine, and whoever is not done, please do it before 12 today, uh, because we have the class tomorrow as well. So up to that, it was just fine. But now onwards, we will be taking only the enroll guys. All right. Any other questions? Or we can close now.
Recording video, when will you post it? Tomorrow will be posted. Today.
Yes.
This today.
Most probably tomorrow. So I think Bala, you have not get the credentials yet, so I'll just send you today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Understand.
yeah, sure.
Tomorrow also the same timings, right?
Yes, same time.
Okay. Yes. I didn't enroll yet. I'll enroll now
Yeah, please.
after the class.
Sure, that's great. Thank you. All right, guys. So I'm closing it. If you have no more questions, see you tomorrow at the same time, 10 a.m. Bye bye.
Yeah, one question.
Bye.
So do you have
Yeah,
the
Vijay.
same timing only, or like how would do you have any other budgets as well? Huh?
Yeah, currently this is the batch. I'm about to start coming in after 1 month or something. But that one after
Okay.
this one, that might be in the evening.
Evening. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
What about the timings? Any idea approximately?
That timing I'm planning for 7:30 to 10 or
Okay,
7:30 to 8, 9. Sorry, 9. That will be one and a half hours. So 7:30 to 9 will be.
okay, okay, okay.
But I
Sorry
feel
to
because more, yeah, because what I feel the morning times are better, because you just finish your classes and you're free to go to roam here and there. You want to go mall or something for and shopping and all. So that's what I prefer, to finish it in the morning. Otherwise, people are
okay,
stuck in the evening because they may have some other assignments as well.
okay.
All right,
Fine, bro.
guys. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Sure, guys. See you soon. I will be uploading the recording soon. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you all.